Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moltrap here. I am actually here with Rise as well. I have not done a dual commentary or anything like that in a while. Hey, Rise. Rise is eating his mic in anticipation, he told me, of this game right here. I'm excited to be doing some multi-commentaries. I haven't had a lot of time or energy lately, so to get together with the other guys and get our scheduling correct. But you are looking at Bisu. That is not your imagination, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bisu versus Jaedong. Yes, I am not even kidding. Bisu versus Jaedong, and this is none other than the ace match between SKT and Hwaseong Oz. And I am just ridiculously excited to watch this match. Back in the exactly back in the when the GOM TV did their tournament 1 versus tournament, their season 1 versus season 2 winners, and Jaedong barely beat out Bisu in game 5. He said, "I got lucky. This is not over." That's what he said in the interview afterwards. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is part of the ongoing saga of who is the best StarCraft player in the world right here. Bisu versus Jaedong. I am really, really stoked to be watching this game. Rise, perhaps you could express your feelings about this game and things other than shouts.
Well, like you said before, I literally was chewing on my microphone in anticipation of this game. It's been a while since I've been this excited about a StarCraft game. And, I mean, I got to be honest, I love both these players. These are probably two of my top 3 favorite players of all time, and they are top players of all time. So, I mean, we got Jaedong, the best #1 Zerg there is out there in the world today, and Bisu, the #1 Protoss in the world today. I guess arguably there are a couple other Protoss that are banging on his door, but I'm still going to say Bisu right now is the #1 Protoss. So we got the top of each race fighting each other on Heartbreak Ridge, one of my favorite maps of the new Pro League season, and I am just dying in anticipation to see what happens here. Like you said, the GOM TV finals of the Star League finals from the first season to the second season was an epic series, an epic matchup. And I mean, yeah, you translated it. You have perfect Korean translation, Moltrap. That's exactly what he said. And he said that he was lucky. He was lucky to beat Bisu. And, I mean, Bisu was seemingly confident even after he lost that match, too. So I can only imagine that Bisu really wants to win this. And Jaedong, I think, wants to prove that it wasn't a fluke that he won the first match. So right now, I got to be honest, this is one of the few times that I really don't have any predictions on who's going to win this match. I don't know if you do, Moltrap, but right now, I'm just excited that we're watching it.
Yeah, man, these guys are just very, very evenly matched. They're basically the top form of their respective races ever. And it sounds like an exaggeration, it sounds like hyperbole, but it's really not. That's really the truth of the situation, is these guys are the top that there has ever been. And it is going to be tough to call, because, you know, in the GOM TV finals, we thought that was going to be, you know, the match to settle it all as to who was the best StarCraft player, you know, in the world. And it was the final game was just a little bit weird enough that it was unconclusive. I mean, Jaedong had said it himself, according to my translation. I read that translation somewhere else. That it was not conclusive, and we didn't really get an all-star champion. And so, yeah, personally, if I had to bet one way or the other, I would actually bet on Jaedong. I do think he's a better player, just slightly, just based in terms of his performances, but that's pretty arbitrary, to be completely honest. Both these guys are competing for most wins in the Pro League right now. Both their teams are competing in the Pro League as well. These guys are in a fastly growing competition for, most Star League wins between the newer generation of players. And so it is going to be tough to call. So we do have, by the way, just in case you are completely oblivious to what we're talking about, Bisu is the purple Protoss player on the left side of the map, and Jaedong is the teal Zerg player on the right side of the map. And we are seeing Jaedong go for an early spawning pool here. I forgot to check what drone count that was on. But Bisu, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like he put his Nexus down after his Forge. He decided he had enough spare time to get cannons up after his Nexus, and he is going to be correct, because those Zerglings are going to chase around that probe for a while and try and hunt down. So he's going to have plenty of time to get that cannon up. Bisu's going to have a nice, good economy, and I think that's going to put him a little bit ahead of Jaedong going into the mid-game, because Bisu has gotten his economy going very quickly, and Jaedong, on the other hand, getting that pool first has delayed his economy a little bit. So we'll have to see how that turns out, though.
Well, I gotta agree with you. I think that Jaedong is maybe ever so slightly favored, but when Bisu is on his game, I would say that he is unstoppable, even by Jaedong. I mean, if you've seen Bisu play perfect Protoss, which we've seen in the past, he is literally unstoppable. He does not make mistakes, and he can just outwit, outplay, outmacro, outmicro any other player that comes his way. But it looks like Jaedong knows exactly what Bisu's doing because he scouted it, and he's actually going to go for 3 bases of his own to try to keep up in economy right away, because like you were saying, he got that Nexus down quickly, so Jaedong is going to have to respond in kind. So it looks like we're going to see a mid to late game developing here at the very least, as it doesn't look like we're going to see any sort of run buys coming from Jaedong. And I got to say, I'm more excited that we're going to see a real meaty mid-game type of play from both these players rather than some sort of cheesy run by. And I don't think that Jaedong is confident that he could pull that off. And Bisu, with his epic scouting prowess, able to get that probe through that ridiculous ring of death of Zerglings, and Jaedong not able to take it out. But still, he's not able to get all the way back to Jaedong's base. Jaedong, in the meantime, taking a lair. So we'll have to see what he goes with from here. It looks like Bisu going to swap out one probe for another to get a full health probe going in the scouting direction. And man, I love Heartbreak Ridge. It is a lot of fun to watch games unfold on because there's so many bases. The layout is just exciting. Those ridges really do add a lot to the play, and there's a lot of interesting strategies that we've been seeing here. So I'm very hopeful that both these players are going to bring out something to wow us.
Yeah, definitely. And this map, I think a little bit, I haven't looked at the statistics actually, but I think a little bit would favor Zerg, just because of the fact that, like you said, there's bases all over the place. There's a lot of different routes between the bases. There's kind of a central hub in the middle, and there's these ridge spokes coming off the middle of it, and so you can flank anywhere. There's almost no places that you can. I don't think there's really anywhere except your main base that doesn't have a way to flank it in some way or another. And so that, I think, goes... Oh, and Bisu does get that probe scout in and scouts the Spire going down. So he knows that Jaedong's going for a pretty normal build here. Spire off three hatches in a lair, and that probe does go down, but he gets all the information he needs off of it anyway. Now, that said, Zerg is going to have a lot of opportunity for flanking, that sort of thing. That does tend to favor the Zerg. But I think in the mid-game, it actually might favor, depending on, how things go, might favor Protoss a little bit just because of the fact that your expansions are spread out. So that, for instance, that top expansion, the top right corner of Jaedong's, it's going to be a little bit vulnerable. It's going to be hard to get his forces up to protect that if Bisu goes for an attack up there. And any other bases that he takes are going to be also equally far from his kind of his base area. So, again, it's just going to come down to the playstyle. But these two guys are just so good at this game. I'm sure that they're taking all these things into account, and it's just so spectacular to watch a matchup like this because of the fact that there's just such high-level play going on. But by the way, real quick factoid here: Jaedong and Bisu apparently before this game met 12 times in their life. And most recently was that GOM TV thing. And in those 12 times, Jaedong has actually won 7 of them. So I think you're right. Bisu in his top form might be a little bit better than Jaedong's top form. But Bisu isn't always in his completely top form. So we'll have to see what game he's going to bring today.
Well, that's very true, and we've seen Bisu where he's had off days, and Jaedong's off day is probably better than Bisu's off day, if that makes any sense. But anyway, it looks like Bisu is getting out a couple of Corsairs. He's already taken out 2 Overlords, maybe 3. I think I only saw 2 go down so far. If they click on... No, look, 3 kills on that Corsair. Sorry, so he's actually taken 3 out, and he is doing the Bisu build, something we don't see too often from players these days, because it's more Sair Reaver or something. Well, I don't know, maybe sometimes we see it. But Bisu is going for Sair DT, so he is going to stick to his guns, what he knows best. He's taken out 4 Overlords already. That is going to hurt Jaedong a lot more than you would think, actually. And Jaedong is going to actually be a little bit behind so far because he's done 0 damage to Bisu so far, although he's got a good range. He's got a ton of Overlords at his front door. But, and he's gonna surround that DT. Yes, he does surround it. He takes it out. So Bisu does lose his first unit of worth in that DT right there, and he's already transitioning to High Templar, so it looks like he's going to lay off the DTs for now, although I'm sure we'll see more of them later in form of harassment to Jaedong's further bases.
Yeah, I think it's an even trade. Actually, it might even be in Bisu's favor, as far as taking out 4 Overlords, but then losing that DT without doing any damage. Like you said, it is actually a significant amount of damage, because not only is he short 400 minerals for making new Overlords, but that's time that he's not able to be making drones or Hydralisks or what have you. By the way, just a little tiny note here. Like I said earlier about how his base is going to be vulnerable, Jaedong is doing really, really well, putting his buildings in optimal placement. You saw he had that den and the Evo chamber, I believe, up in and he's got the colony right behind it.
Yeah.
So normally 3 or 4 zealots could run in there and kill all the drones. But by putting that building there, he's got a really good placement. He can hold off a significant little force with just that one sunken, and it's smart play like that is that makes the top players absolutely top, because they can do smart things like that. Bisu sees it, of course, when he's got his Corsairs. Bisu loves his scouting, so he's running his Corsairs all over the place, just trying to see what's going on. And so he's going to anticipate that. So a lot of Corsair does go down. Scout's the main at least, but that's actually surprisingly sloppy for Bisu. Normally he wouldn't have lost that Corsair. He would have somehow danced it around in circles and gotten it back to his base somehow. But anyway, you can see Jaedong just totally skimping on the buildings and the defense, just going, trying to cut as many corners as he can. Oh, a bunch of Mutalisks popping out! A bunch of Mutas popping out
nice.
Now to accompany the Hydras. Wow, and Bisu has a few Corsairs and a few Dragoons here, but I don't know if he has a whole lot to deal with these Mutalisks. Probably what the Mutas are going to do is dive in, kill off the High Templar, and then that will make it so that the Hydralisks and Zerglings will have a better chance of doing damage to the rest of the forces. We'll have to see if he can actually get in there and kill the High Templar off before. And here he goes in. Oh, Psystorm on top of the Mutas. 2 Psystorms on the Mutas. Those Mutas are down to 1/3 health. Those were beautiful storms. One of them right in the path of Mutalisks. So those Mutas are really damaged. They are not really in a good position to run in there and kill off those Templar anymore, especially with the Dragoons around to finish them off.
That did not work out for Jaedong well at all, although it looks like he is going to manage to pick off a couple. He's taking heavy fire from those goons, and like you said, they're almost all of them were down to 1/3 health, and so it only takes a couple of shots from the goons to finish off the straggling one. So unfortunately for Jaedong, that group of Muta not nearly as effective as he had hoped to be, and he may just try to keep them alive for a while to hope that they regenerate a little bit so he can use them more later in the game. But no, look at that, man. There were so many goons there. I mean, Bisu is very goon heavy right now. Not that many zealots at all. That's going to be very good against mass Muta attack like that. I don't know if he foresaw that or not. Bisu also counting up at both of his bases fairly well, and he's putting up a 3rd base. So now he's going to be even with Jaedong in terms of bases. So Jaedong's definitely going to be wanting to get a 4th base very shortly, because Bisu, if he's on 3 bases, 3 gas, I mean, he's going to be pumping out high-tech units like Templar and other units that, man, it's just going to be very difficult for even Jaedong to deal with. And this is exactly what I was talking about. If Bisu's game is on, we saw the first-person point of view of both players before, and you could just see the high-level play that was in this game right now. I mean, these players were all over the place, taking care of their macro. They were microing individual units. I mean, that's 400 APM for you, useful APM. And now Jaedong actually going in for attack. No, he realized that he's going to get flanked, but no, he pulls back to try to take out a couple of Corsairs for free. Manages to get one storm going off, not killing anything, and Jaedong continuing to try to bounce around with those Muta to pick off High Templar, but it looks like he's lost critical mass. No, they're just not all together, and so he's not able to pick them off one by one. Very close gun. Hydras being taken out by great storms by Bisu, and man, Jaedong is losing way too many units. Oh, bad storm dodging. Great storms, of course, and Jaedong is hurting right now, and Bisu is now able to put the pressure on.
Oh my god, Jaedong, he may have lost the game, honestly, with this lack of storm dodging, because now Bisu has complete map control. He's on the offensive. Jaedong, of course, underestimated his macro. He's pumping out tons of Hydralisks now. He's doing some good target firing, it looks like, and picking off a good amount of units. So I don't think this is going to be a killing blow for Bisu. He's not going to be able to push this home too much. Jaedong, I think, is just going to get too many Hydras out, especially with the fact that he did, like you said, he was able to run in there and kill off some High Templar with those Mutalisks, despite the fact that they were so low on health. And I think that's, I mean, you saw those storms. Those are beautiful storms. If he had a couple more storms,
awesome.
it would have been, you know, it would have been over. But, yeah, as you can see, Bisu is going to actually manage to pick off those Hydralisks, but he has reinforcements coming in. Maybe Bisu is just going to try and macro his way down Jaedong's throat here. He's just rallying his Dragoons here and going straight in. He's going to try and kill off that 12 o'clock base, and if he's able to do that, he's going to have a huge lead because he's managed to hold that bottom left base at the same time, and he's had no economic harassment from Jaedong at all. No probes have been killed by Mutalisks or anything like that, and the hatchery does go down. So we're looking at 3 bases versus 3 bases, and that is not, and a 4th going up for Bisu, and that is not good position for the Zerg when the Protoss has map control to boot.
Especially when the Protoss is Bisu. I mean, of all players, you don't want Bisu having map control, you know? I mean, he's just putting himself in such a great position. And one thing I like about what he's doing is he's making sure, another free storm off on Hydras right there, not even realizing what was going on. Jaedong loses a couple more. Now moving into Lurkers, it looks like he's morphing 10 right there. And so that's going to put up a good fight, but still, there are already observers out on the field. There are already a ton of Dragoons and a ton of Templar. Bisu's just got the perfect unit composition to deal with almost anything Jaedong can throw at him other than Ultra, but of course he'd have plenty of time to prepare for that as well. And man, he's just in a great position with 4 bases, 4 well-defended bases. Every expansion is getting 2 to 3 cannons or more. And Jaedong, on the other hand, like you said, very sparse in terms of defense around his bases. While he's got great building placement, it's just not enough if he's only got units on the ground, because if he's caught out of position, like you were saying before, this is a large map. How do you defend all the bases at once? And while he's got the top level going in his favor, you know, trying to keep it so that he can defend that whole front at once, it's still a difficult position to try to get all of those defended. And so Jaedong just finding himself in a tough position, especially having lost that main battle. And I think you're right. I think the turning point was already when he just lost a control group and a half of Hydras to 2 Psionic Storms that he could have dodged had he been paying better attention. And I really am surprised that he didn't dodge that. And look at this. I mean, Bisu already back on top of the expansion, sees what's going on. We see the first-person view of Jaedong in the bottom middle, and he's trying to prepare for anything that might be heading his way. But Bisu just, man, he is playing a perfect game right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think another thing that factored into it was that storm, those 2 storms on the Mutas as well. And actually, Bisu now going in an attack on Jaedong's natural. Jaedong has a lot of Lurkers in there, so I'm not sure how much good it's going to do. He picks off the Observer as well, so that's going to force Bisu back for a little bit. And I think now Jaedong is really, really good at doing that, at picking off those Observers, sending in a single Scourge and Overlord and doing that. And he may be able to buy enough time to get himself back into the game by doing something along those lines. I think that's his plan. I think that's why he went for the Lurkers, is just so that he can, play, chicken with the Observers and just try and kind of buy time for him to get those 2 bases at the top up. And if he can do that and get his Hive up, then he'll be able to get back into the game. Bisu, we've seen some excellent tactical play from him, though, going out and, when he has the advantage, when he knows that he can play defensive, when he knows that he has to play defensive, he plays defensive and gets a base up, and then he attacks when he has the advantage, and again, puts a base up again when he's able to attack. So just using his army just beautifully as far as positioning. And this, here we go. There's the Zerglings coming into play. When those Zerglings get crack upgraded, then we might see a resurgence of Jaedong here. I'm not sure how far off his Hive is, but the Observer stays alive. That's another thing that might be able to get Jaedong back into this game as well, especially with a goon-heavy army, is those cracklings. Although, actually, with Bisu's storms, I'm not so sure about that after all. And here, Bisu trying to attack uphill. Unfortunately, I think that's the only reason why Jaedong was able to push him back, because that is a ton of Dragoons right there, and a 5th base going up for Bisu in the bottom right. This is ridiculous.
part of the amazing play that we see here is not just, the macro and the micro. It's the decision making. You see that Bisu, even though he's got a ridiculous amount of troop count right here, he doesn't commit. He realizes sometimes that it's not best to fight uphill battles. And right now you see him turning away, even though, again, he's got the superior side count for sure and could probably take out a lot of those units. But the losses he would incur would be way too much for him to maybe overcome if he just carelessly lost everything. So, I mean, these are the things that these pro gamers are thinking about, these split-second decisions that they're not even thinking about consciously. They just do it. And, Jaedong doing the same thing, of course, doing a great job, making sure he picks off things like the observers because it's a delay tactic. He's making sure he gets that hive up. He realizes that the Tier 2 tech is not working out against the unit composition that we see here, so he's transitioning to that hive tech, and he's trying to lay with these lurkers. But Bisu is pushing his way up for real this time. He's got observers out. They're not getting scourged. 1-0! It does get scourged here, and he's forced once again to back off. So Jaedong continuing to stall as the Defiler's Mound is going down because we saw the hive tech already finished, and so Jaedong most likely going to try to get off some dark swarms and cracklings like you were talking about. And if he can do that, he can certainly take his game back into his hands because cracklings, of course, can take down the Nexus in about 30 seconds. No, probably 15 seconds if you get a good surround on it. So we'll have to see if he's able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And another bit of tactics Bisu's going. Like you said, he's not really committing. He may be committing now, actually. He's been whittling down Jaedong's forces. I'm not sure if he's going to go all in on this. There is another line of lurkers behind there. He loses his observer. He seems to not... Oh, he doesn't have another observer because the Dragoons are not attacking. Oh, he loses a few Dragoons and an Archon because he wasn't able to see those lurkers there. But he may squeeze his army past. I'm not sure if he's going to try and go through or not. He brings in another observer. He's able to stay on the same level of ground now and attack these lurkers, so those lurkers are going to go down. Is that good? Oh, the observer does survive. Some cracklings coming in from behind. He may be able to hold this off. But critically, what Bisu is doing is just kind of running in, killing off a couple lurkers, running out, casting the storm, etc., and just kind of keeping Jaedong occupied while he while he got his 5th base up. And Jaedong, with a complete lack of Zerglings around, consumes an Overlord to try and get a swarm on that on that lurker. But Jaedong is fighting well, not an uphill battle, actually. He's fighting a downhill battle, and he's being fought down the hill. Bisu with a commanding advantage here, just kind of forcing him slowly back and slowly back and slowly back. And now, they're at 5 bases each right now, but this is the point where Bisu has the chance, and this is he's going to take down this hatchery, and you do not want the Protoss to have a couple bases on you as a Zerg player and map control. I think this is pretty much it for Jaedong. So it looks like their record is going to go to 7-6, with Bisu taking the tiebreaker, I guess, if you discount Game 5 and the champions face-off from the GOM TV or whatever. And it's just amazing that it came down to a few storms, I think, that gained Bisu enough of a map advantage that he could take all these bases and get the economic advantage that's led him to victory now.
Yeah, so this is going to even things up a little bit more in the favor, and you can see the look on Jaedong's face. GG coming from Jaedong. Maybe Jaedong was just tired of carrying his team all these times and finally said, hey, my back is broken, guys. I need to just take a break here. And, I got to say, if he's going to lose to a player, Bisu's probably one of the best players that you can lose to, so certainly not to take anything away from Jaedong. Bisu really did play a perfect game right there, He really didn't make any big mistakes that I can think of, and unfortunately for Jaedong, he made a couple of mistakes. Again, we saw them, we pointed them all out, and it just was not enough to take that game, and he is visibly upset about it. His hands are shaking, eyes tearing up, I think. I think he thought that he could have won that game, and I think on maybe other circumstances he could have, but unfortunately for him, not this time. But I gotta say, man, GG overall.
Yeah, that was an awesome game, and even though there were a couple mistakes here and there, we got to see some of the finest StarCraft there is, and that is always fun to see. And Bisu really, really excited about that win. Definitely deserves it. And I think it's just amazing how they both played almost perfectly in their decision making and their tactics and everything. Except there was just a couple occasions where Bisu had the edge, and and a couple occasions where Jaedong earlier on was not able to do something, and when a pro gamer has an advantage like that, they keep it and they press it home, and sometimes it takes 25 minutes, but they don't. Some player like Bisu is like a pit bull. He does not let go once he's got a grip on that advantage. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game. Thanks for watching. GG. Thanks for watching.
GG.